Mahmoud Darwish is one of the most significant Palestinian poets and a prominent voice in contemporary Arab literature. He was exiled in 1971, and his sense of Palestinian identity, exile, and the experience of Israeli occupation come through in his works. He's often considered the voice of Palestine. He unfortunately passed away in 2008. Rita and the Rifle is a poem written for his Jewish Israeli lover, and Rita is the name he used to refer to his lover in his poems. Within Rita and the Rifle, the key themes include love, war, exile, resistance, and identity. In this presentation, I will explore Mahmoud Darwish's poem, Rita and the Rifle, and how it responds to the question of what does it mean to be Palestinian. This analysis is informed by secondary literature on Rita and the Rifle, rather than focusing directly on Darwish himself. In this presentation, I will explore Mahmoud Darwish's poem, Rita and the Rifle, and how it responds to the question of what does it mean to be Palestinian. I will investigate the themes of love, resistance, and identity within the context of the Palestinian experience as articulated by Mahmoud Darwish in the poem Rita and the Rifle, in Arabic, Rita wa al-Bunduqiyya. Through my analysis, I hope to demonstrate how Mahmoud Darwish's poetry enriches our understanding of what it means to be Palestinian, in particular through the emotional lens of longing, loss, and resistance. And the Rifle is the themes of separation and loss are also prominent within the poem, because Darwish's relationship with Rita is doomed because of their identities. Rita, although the beloved, Rita represents the other. She is on the side of the abuser, of the aggressors, and the Rifle represents the violence that keeps them apart. Rita and the Rifle. The title in itself suggests, and in fact really strongly tells you, that they come together as a pair and therefore cannot be separated. They cannot be separated. Rita cannot come on her own. It is Rita and the Rifle. And this in itself implies if it is even a love story. As the reader, you are questioning what type of love story this is. Thus, this connects to the Palestinian experience of displacement and being separated from their homes and losing their home, the loss of their home. And this is where, in the Palestinian experience, this is where personal lives are shaped by the larger political situation. So the theme of love and longing is very prominent throughout the poem, because the author's love for Rita is a symbol of the unattainable. And the unattainable in this sense is not only the author's love for Rita, but on a broader sense, much like the longing for the homeland and a return to normalcy for Palestinians. And so this personal longing serves to reflect the broader Palestinian condition of exile and separation from their land. Additionally, the themes of love and longing are also prevalent. So the author's love for Rita as a symbol of personal desire and personal longing. So Rita represents a love that is unattainable, much like the love for the lost homeland, which is also unattainable for Palestinians. So this personal relationship with Rita suggests broader themes of loss, exile, and separation that many Palestinians experience. And again, the Rifle is a complex symbol in the poem. It represents not only the violence of occupation, but resistance to occupation. It does nothing to stop Darwish's love. You see the term rifle in the title, you see it at the start, and you see it at the end, and yet the narrator's love is prevalent throughout. So the presence of the Rifle forces the narrator to navigate between love and national duty, And this illustrates the tension between personal desires and political realities for Palestinians. The context of the poem includes the Palestinian experience of occupation, exile, and resistance. So, in particular, there is a tension between the personal and the political in Palestinian literature, how personal stories of love and longing are intertwined with the broader national struggle. Further to that, Palestinian identity is something that is shaped by displacement, exile, and a strong connection to the land. And being Palestinian, in a sense, often involves navigating the complex relationship between the personal and the collective, the relationship between personal desires and the collective struggle. And Rita and the Rifle, therefore, explores these complexities through the narrator's love for Rita, and this, in return, is complicated by the presence of the rifle. The rifle symbolizes violence, occupation, and resistance to violence. And there is a lack of a systemic rhyme within the poem, showcasing the inconsistency of a war and of occupation. And you get this recurring imagery of war, emphasizing barbarity, brutality, and abuse. And although you see the author really trying to highlight his love with Rita, but you also see this, you can also perhaps see the sense of understanding that Rita, it comes with a rifle. There is no Rita on her own, there is a Rita with a rifle. And the rifle itself is such a strong indicator of Zionism and settler occupation and being a mechanism of war. So from this serves to show that there's a sense of confusion and contrast, because you've got love on the one hand, but then you've got innocent love faced by brutal instruments of war. So the primary text I will be analysing is Rita and the Rifle by Mahmoud Darwish. So in this poem, you can see the personal love story between Darwish and Rita become an allegory for the Palestinian experience of loss, of exile, and of resistance. So the word rifle, which also appears in the title, it symbolises both the violence of Israeli occupation and also the Palestinian resistance to it, whereas Rita represents an unattainable love and something that is unattainable both in the sense that Darwish cannot have her, but also in the sense that Palestinians long for freedom, long for a life free of Israeli occupation, and yet that is also unattainable for them. So secondary literature by Abdullah al-Shaham also questions Rita and the Rifle in that, is Rita a symbol of love or perhaps a symbol of something greater? In a sense, although Rita is the beloved, is Rita unattainable in the sense that she is the beloved, or is she symbolic of something greater, such as Palestinian resistance and struggles and their right to self-determination? And again, you've got this sense of an unequal relationship between these two lovers who are doomed in the sense that they cannot be one given their national identities. And this also reinforces the question that the readers may have. So what type of love is this for his beloved to be carrying a rifle and it being pointed at him? And you may think the lover does not kill the beloved. So again, this is a tragic love, one that is faced with barbarity and destruction. And again, the cause of that is the Zionist rifle, and you've got this innocent love contrasting an instrument of death. And this is also a prominent piece in which this is seen throughout some of Darwish's poems, but this is in an instance where the Israeli woman is as the beloved, so the aggressor, the other, is as the beloved, and in a sense is the allegory for the Palestinian experience of loss, exile, and resistance. So, what does it mean to be Palestinian through the lens of Rita and the rifle? So, you have the sense of identity and struggle. Darwish answers the question through his poem of what it means to be a Palestinian through the lens of resistance, love, and loss. Now, each of resistance, loss, and love are all central and essential to the Palestinian identity and what it means to be Palestinian. In the context of Rita and the rifle, being Palestinian is shown as being constantly in conflict between personal desires and the collective struggle for freedom and for survival. And resistance and the struggle for dignity. The rifle is also symbolic of the Palestinian struggle for dignity, freedom, and for the right to exist as a people. Despite the love the narrator feels for Rita, the political situation is one that cannot be ignored. The reality cannot be blindsided. So the act of resistance, symbolized by the rifle, is also a huge part of Palestinian identity. It implies that resistance isn't just armed struggle, it's also about asserting one's humanity and right to self-determination in the face of occupation. Another answer to what it means to be Palestinian through Rita and the rifle is the sense that there is a loss of innocence and the reality of exile. So in Rita and the rifle, the loss of innocence is highlighted. So the narrator's love is one that, although love is innocent and pure, in this case the narrator's love is tainted by the realities of war, of exile, and of occupation. So this loss of innocence is central to Palestinian identity, where the personal is always shaped by the political. And again, with the loss of innocence, there's another contrast here as well. The theme of innocence, of how love is something innocent, pure, and untainted. But in Rita and the rifle, his pure and innocent love is tainted by the rifle, which provides such a stark contrast to something as pure and innocent as love, and then something so brutal and violent as a rifle. Another prominent theme, prominent throughout the entire poem, make up a Palestinian. And in Rita, so the symbolism of the rifle is prominent throughout the poem, and it serves as a symbol of Zionist dogma. It portrays the violence of the occupation, as well as the necessity of Palestinian resistance. And through the symbol of the rifle, Mahmoud Darwish conveys the painful duality that Palestinians have to navigate. So the duality between love and war, and between innocence and struggle. There's also this sense of acknowledging and understanding that Rita is on the side of the aggressor, in that it is almost as though, in the contention of Al-Shaham, it is as though Darwish is questioning himself. Does Rita love me today? How can she kill me and shoot upon my people tomorrow? And there's this sense of understanding how different their identities are, and therefore how a union of them two would not be possible, given the differences in their nationalist backgrounds, given that Rita is the other, the aggressor, and he is, of course, the one being subjected to violence, and now his lover has also joined forces with the rest that are committing violence. There's also within the poem the tension between the personal and political, and between love and duty. So the poem portrays the intersection of the personal, love and longing, with the political, resistance and occupation, and this highlights the painful duality of being Palestinian. This shows that being Palestinian is having to suffer with the inability to separate personal desires from the political context of living under occupation, because although he loves Rita, Rita is also the other, and she is on the aggressive side. She's on the side of the aggressors, and so they cannot be one. And thus being Palestinian means being resisting. What it means to be Palestinian is to resist. And love and loss has been prominent throughout this poem, and the rifle has been a stark reality and a harsh reminder of the reality of what it means to be Palestinian living under the Israeli occupation.